Alright, the panel's going to start soon, so everyone's getting quiet. We have Phil, Rambo, Howard, Spectre Pack member. There we go.
Thanks for coming. Please take your seats. I'm going to be starting shortly. The Darksydephil panel. If you're at the wrong panel, well, too bad. We already locked the door so you can't leave.
Silly.
Good? Yeah. All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for attending our panel today. I'm Phil Burnell, also known as Darksydephil on YouTube and in various gaming communities. And what we're going to talk about today is a little bit about my story, how pretty much inadvertently, over the past several years, I was able to turn my online hobby into a full-time occupation, a way to actually financially support myself. And the trials and tribulations I've been through trying to do it. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to actually debut a project that we've been working on for quite some time. We're pretty excited about it. It's called Project 7. It's going to be a short little web mini-series. And after that, we're going to open up the panel to Q&A about anything, whether you want to ask me about what I talk about in the panel, any of my cohorts here along the panel we'll introduce in a moment, about the things that they're doing, or anything like that. So before we start, I guess I should introduce. Next to me I have John Rambo, as many of you might recognize from my videos and also his channel, John Rambo Presents.
How's it going, everybody?
We've got Howard.
How's it going? How's it going?
From Howard Showcases. We've got Andre from Respect the Pack. And we've got OJ, who you might see from Fresh OJ Some Pulp or John Rambo Presents the show, the weekly podcast that they do.
All around.
Alright, so a little bit about myself. I grew up in Connecticut. I grew up with games. I grew up in the 1990s with games like Street Fighter, Final Fantasy. I was heavily into going to arcades and playing games competitively. And even though it was always kind of my hobby, I never necessarily thought that it was ever going to turn into something else other than that. And right around the year 2000, I actually started getting a little bit more into the competitive Street Fighter scene, started traveling the country, playing games like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I actually attended the very first Evolution, which is the Fighting Game Nationals. And I took it pretty seriously for a while, all through my college days and through my first several full-time jobs that I held as an adult. And then about 2007, after doing this for about 7 years, I said, you know what, I've been there, I've done that, I've been all around the country, and I'm a little burnt out. I really don't feel like I want to really be traveling around doing this anymore. I still like Street Fighter, but it's not something that I want to focus my life on. And I started focusing on other things. Well, late in 2007, unfortunately, I was diagnosed with a pretty serious back injury. And my doctor pretty much told me, listen, for the rest of your life, you're either going to need a really, really serious operation, or you're going to have to stop carrying heavy things, you're not going to be able to drive long distances, you're not going to be able to play sports. And yeah, it was a life-changing experience for me. I've had to adjust my life in some pretty serious ways, but the good thing about it was, I'm a gamer. I love video games, and video games aren't anything that are physically strenuous. So I said, you know what, this is a good opportunity for me to maybe branch out. I've been seriously into Street Fighter for quite a long time. Why don't I branch out into other games? I actually hadn't really been playing a lot of console video games from the year 2000 all the way through 2007, because I'd always been traveling to play Street Fighter. And starting around the fall of 2007, all through early 2008, I pretty much started playing every single major console release just to kind of re-immerse myself in the gaming culture. It's been so long since I've been playing these games. And so I did that for about a year. Never had really thought about anything like using YouTube or anything like that. I was just like everyone, just sitting around playing games all day. And then late 2008, I still remember the moment this happened. I was playing Lost Odyssey. And I got to a certain boss in Lost Odyssey, and I could not beat this boss. And I went to GameFAQs, it was the old school place that everyone went to get their information on how to beat games. But Lost Odyssey had just come out. There was no facts or anything explaining how to beat this boss. I said, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to beat this guy? I didn't want to go out and spend $25, $30 on a strategy guide just to figure out how to beat one boss. So I went on a website called YouTube, and I typed in Lost Odyssey, and up came one set of videos. Only one person had actually gotten to that point in Lost Odyssey. And I'm watching the guy fight this boss, and I'm learning some stuff from it, but the thing that really got me was, this was his Let's Play of the game, but there was no commentary. It was just straight, direct capture footage. And for me, it was like, wow, this is great. I'm learning, but I really wish he was explaining what he was doing when he was beating this boss. What was his mentality? What strategies is he using? Because it was kind of hard to interpret what he was doing when he was trying to beat this boss just by seeing it. And then I got an idea. I said, you know what? I got a camera. I literally have had this camera for 5 years. I've never used the thing. Why don't I just hook it up on a tripod, start recording myself playing games and see what happens? So I created this channel, Darksydephil, on YouTube, which some of you might be familiar with, way back when. And I started recording myself. Now, it was funny, because I didn't have a widescreen camera. It wasn't an HD camera. It was this little, really crappy digital camera. I had a widescreen TV. I had to, edge it on the side of the TV to try to get the whole thing to fit in. And it sounded horrible. It looked ridiculous. But the thing was, unlike what everyone else seemed to be doing on YouTube, which was, we want to do these master level playthroughs where, we beat the game, it was a speed run, and we never have a problem. I'm just going to play the game and mess around and have fun. So a couple of the first games I played, like Mercenaries 2, Dead Space, I didn't necessarily do a full playthrough. I just recorded the parts of the game that I thought were funny or frustrating, and I did commentary over it. And I didn't take it seriously. Sometimes, I'll be honest, I had a few drinks. I was, rolling around the couch, half-cocked, swearing at the game, saying, what the hell. I remember being lost in the sewers in Fallout 3 for about 4 hours one day on the surface. And so, that's all it really ever was for me. It was just kind of a hobby, something I was doing to kind of mess around. So I did that till the end of 2008, and then all of a sudden, something crazy happened. I started looking. I said, wait a minute. How many views did that video get? It's got 700 comments. And I never thought that people would actually be entertained by some Joe Schmo average gamer just sitting around playing bullshitting, playing games. But it was catching on. And so at that point I said, why not make this kind of like my main hobby? I can still have my 9-to-5 desk job, and then I can do this on the side as like my thing. And so I did that. I did that all throughout 2008, 2009. And I just grew and grew and grew and grew. And so after that, I started to branch out a little bit. And I said, well, I'm getting a little bit of a web presence. Instead of just playing the games, why don't I start reviewing the games? And that's how I started my Hateful Truth game review series, which now whenever I play a game, I usually tend to review it after I beat it. And just doing other things. As we started traveling, my friends, John, Howard, as we started traveling the country, doing different things, going to gaming events and Street Fighter tournaments, we would record our candid footage of what we were doing on these trips.
We're doing that today.
We're doing that today. We're filming right now. We're filming the panel.
You're going to be taking a shower. I'm just going to upload it later.
So this is pretty much anything
God.
that we did that was gaming related, we started recording, and it just seemed to catch on. Now, again, keep in mind, this whole time, it was a hobby. It wasn't, and never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I was going to find a way to turn this hobby, this gaming hobby that I've had my whole life, and find a way to make money doing it. I never had that intention. So then I believe it was about halfway through 2010, and I made a separate channel outside of my gaming channel, because a lot of people were complaining there was too much stuff on that channel. We would like it if you just put gaming footage on that channel. So I made another channel on YouTube that was kind of like for video logs for our trip footage. It kind of separated the two.
Right.
And I ended up actually getting YouTube partner status on this separate channel, which means that basically I can put ads on those videos. And based on how many people watch the video, how many people click the ads, you can actually make some side income doing this. And it never was anything significant. Maybe I'd make $100 a month. It was nothing that was ever going to be anything but than just like a little side thing. And so I continued doing this all through 2009, 2010. We had the little partner thing going. It was pretty sweet. During that time, John Rambo actually qualified to go to the Super Battle Opera qualifiers for Street Fighter.
Right.
And he made his own channel, John Rambo Presents, on YouTube, for which he put up all this footage of his trip to Japan. That became pretty popular.
Spin-off channel.
Spin-off channel, if you will.
Yes.
And so we were just having fun doing what we were doing. And then, late in 2010, completely unexpectedly, I was laid off from my full-time job for 5 years. And it blindsided me. I mean, just to give you some perspective, every boss in the building tells you they love what you're doing, and then you come in one day and you get your pink slip. And it's like, wow, I just bought a condo last year. What the hell am I going to do? And so I sat down that day. I remember I called John, and John came over and we were talking it out or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I've been smart with my money. I didn't blow all the money that I made, when I had this job for 5 years. So I had a couple months saved up. They gave me a very, very small package to help me out because they knew the economy was bad. I said, all right, I have enough to support myself, maybe through early 2011. And we got this YouTube thing going. Why not? What the hell? Let's really go into this full throttle. Let's start attacking
It
this.
started that day.
It started that day. We played, what was it, Dead Rising 2?
Rising 2 full playthrough.
Beat the entire game in one day, one sitting, co-op.
So it began.
And so it began. Pretty much from that point on, every major release that came out, every single one, I played from start to finish on my Darksydephil channel. And then after that, unfortunately, on my DSP Gaming channel, and we'll get a little bit more about why I had to switch channels later on. Yeah, and so I did that for about a month and a half, so this is probably about December of 2010. And the day that I got laid off, I came home and I went to that partner channel that I had on YouTube, and I made a video blog about it. And I gave my completely honest thoughts, like, I'm blindsided, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. There's no one hiring in my job sector right now. Like, I'm screwed. Unless I move, there's no one who's going to hire me. So what am I going to do? And so I kind of just buckled down and said, you know what? I'm going to stay positive. I'm not going to let this beat me. And I'm going to dedicate myself to something that I like doing. And there was an amazing, overwhelming response to that video. I got thousands of messages from people all over the world saying that is the kind of attitude that they need. It's a motivational attitude, and that's what people in this kind of economy really need right now, a positive attitude. And to say it this way, the way that the YouTube partnership program works, like I said, it's based off of video views, but it's also based off of ad clicks. A hell of a lot of people clicked my ads that month because of what happened, and I made a pretty big wad of cash, all right? Not to say that that's how that program's supposed to work, but, people saw I lost my job, they felt bad, they clicked the ads. So I thought, wow, this is great. I just made a lot of money, and if this keeps up, I can do this as my full-time job. Well, in the middle of December, YouTube contacts me and says, well, Phil, we feel that those ad clicks that you got last month were invalid. You're kicked out of the program. Goodbye. So now I'm like, wow, okay. So the one out that I had to possibly make money doing this is gone. What the hell am I going to do now? So I started kind of panicking, looking for different options. And one of the options was another website outside of YouTube called Blip TV. Some of you might be familiar with Blip TV. There are a lot of popular internet personalities who use it because it actually is one of the highest paying websites for video hosting outside of YouTube and Google's YouTube programs. So I did that for about a month and a half. And now we're going to talk a little bit about something I like to call haters. Because I have about... haters are people who are miserable, just disgusting people who don't want to leave their basement and just want to bring you down whenever you do something positive in your life.
I'll use that definition in the future.
The lengths that haters will go when they see someone who's successful and they're not is absolutely insane. The reason that I started out on a channel called Darksydephil on YouTube and then ended up having to make a completely new channel called DSP Gaming is because people impersonated game companies and wrote YouTube saying that I had infringed on their copyrights. So YouTube shut down my original channel for about a month due to these people impersonating staff of other companies. Absolutely ridiculous. So, zooming back to late 2010, I decided, all right, YouTube's kicked me out of their partnership program. Let me go to this new website called Blip TV and see what happens. So I did that for about a month and a half, and I got my first payment from them. And it was pretty good. And I said, wow, here's another website. This is pretty good. I can put ads on my videos. People can watch my videos. And I might be able to do this. I might actually maybe be able to make this work. A month and a half into that, I got kicked out of Blip TV. Want to know why? Because haters wrote Blip TV complaining that my content was insulting and racist and all kinds of ridiculous stuff. And they're so stupid, they actually went to my personal website and started bragging about kicking me off this website. So I contacted the Blip TV staff, and they were like, sorry, we've already put this in motion, there's nothing we can do, you're gone from Blip. And so now we're talking middle of January 2011, again I'm panicking, what the hell am I going to do? And then finally, I do have to say, thank God for Machinima, Machinima, if you don't know, is the #1 rated video game channel on YouTube. In 2011, they were the #1 rated channel on YouTube outside of those channels that are backed by major media like NBC or something like that. And they have what's called the Machinima Partnership Program. So what they do is they take a look at your channel on YouTube and they see it, first of all, if it's gaming related, and then they see what kind of content you put out and if you get a decent amount of views. Now back then, early January, I probably had about 50, 60,000 subscribers, you know, and I was known on YouTube. It's just I wasn't ever affiliated with any of these companies, and I reached out to Machinima, and pretty amazing. They signed me to a partnership contract, and ever since then, it's been amazing. I'm able to play every game that I want to play. I'm never pressured to play something I don't want to play. I am able to say exactly what I want to say about these games because I don't work for anyone. I don't work for IGN. I don't work for some mainstream game company that's going to say, hey, when you review this certain game, inflate the score because, you know, we need to keep getting preview copies of the game so that we can have these reviews out before everyone else. And since then, it's been pretty amazing. I mean, the ride I've had involving my friends now frequently in projects that I do. And
You beat you on, you find a good thing, you beat you onto it, you try to ride that wave.
that's right. You know, and that's what I've been calling it, ride the wave, because I really feel the reason right now it's working out for me and I've been successful for the past year is because I've kept that positive attitude. I mean, I got shot down when I lost my job. I got shot down when I was kicked out of YouTube's partnership program, and I was shot down again when I was kicked out of Blip TV. And I said, you know what? I am just not going to give up. I'm just going to keep pushing ahead until I finally am at the point where I know I can't do it anymore. And so far, so good, you know? And now, look at us here. Now we're able to come to an event like Magfest and speak about our experiences. We're going to debut a project that we've been working on for quite some time, and it's just awesome. And I think really if people maintain a positive attitude and they plug at whatever it is that they love, that hopefully in the end, in the long run, it'll work out for them. So that's my spiel. That's, you know, how I got to where I am today. And by no means am I as big as some of the people that you'll see on YouTube. You know, you see people who are always cross-collaborating and they have their videos on the Machinima main channel every day. That's not what I'm about. I've always been about just having gaming as my hobby, doing what I love, and playing what I want to play. I don't want to be one of these people who goes mainstream. You know, they actually call it making it small, being successful, but never blowing up to the point where you become such a huge celebrity or your life is so bogged down by that it has to change. And that's really where I am right now, and that's what I'm enjoying right now. So,